Kevin Flynn was a very successful and famous video game designer who was a proponent of the idea that life in the digital frontier is mankind's destiny. One day, his son Sam receives a message from his father's old office, and when he arrives there, he is pulled into the same computer simulation that his father became trapped in almost 20 years ago. This world of his father's creation, the grid, the digital frontier, is more beautiful and dangerous than he could have ever imagined. Sam reunites with his father, and together they dismantle the oppressive regime that had seized control over the grid. The story of Tron Legacy is simple but beautiful. It is a story about perfection and our inability to achieve it. Though the plot may be a basic tale of family and redemption, the world this story inhabits is a creative and technological marvel. Through a combination of stunning practical sets and costumes and the use of industry-leading CGI, the world of Tron takes center stage as the most riveting character in the whole film. Tron Legacy had the challenge of updating the visual style and art direction of the original Tron from the 80s, which we can all agree looks very dated, but it does this while at the same time preserving the overall identity of the first film. The grid is a computer simulation, and the film communicates this through the set design and costumes. The world is coated in black and darkness, with the only sources of light often being the streaks of light littered through the architecture and costumes. These ribbons of light are meant to resemble the inner wirings and circuitry of a computer, and in a way this represents the interconnectivity of the digital world that Kevin Flynn has created. Even though the film takes place in such a visually unique setting, many of the locations and sets were physically made, which actually is ironic considering that the characters exist in a computer simulation, but most of the sets were made physically. However, the effort and attention to detail put into making these locations practically elevates the overall quality of the film in a very tangible way. Probably the best example of this is Kevin Flynn's home away from home here in the grid, where everything from the glowing white floor, the furniture, the light cycle in the background are all physically there. As a result, the film becomes much more immersive, since you can tell the characters are actually present in this very futuristic setting. It's almost something you can feel. And this tangibility is essential for the film to actually convince the viewer that this world and the characters that inhabit it are real. This setting, as well as all the other locations in the film, could have easily been created through CGI, but the fact that many of them weren't helps retain the audience's suspension of disbelief, which is essential for any film with a plot this imaginative. Tron Legacy is an example of the perfect overlap of form and function in production design. The form being the consistent principles of visual design that give the film an aesthetically pleasing and unique look, and the function being to immerse you in the world and characters in order to serve the story of the film. In my eyes, Tron Legacy is a great film that takes place in an even greater world. This world, much like the film, is far from perfect, and it never will be, but that's the beauty of it. We cannot create perfection, we can only notice the briefest glimpses of it. Now, I'll leave you with a scene that sums up what both Kevin Flynn and I have come to learn about perfection.
Should have seen this place back then. Couldn't wait to show it to you. Could not wait.
Must have been something before Clue screwed it up.
No, he's me. I screwed it up. Chasing after perfection. Chasing after what was right in front of me. Right in front of me.